Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition. Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod. And man, Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner. Blake and I have actually been to Star Wars Celebration before. However, we're sadly not going this year. We do have some tips for those of you who are going, though. Maybe it's your first time. Maybe you're a Celebration veteran. Maybe you've been to more than we have, but we figured we would put together a Know Before You Go episode and maybe even talk about Celebration in general, what you can do to enjoy Celebration at home, and the content we have on the podcast coming to you at light speed, bringing to you all those Star Wars news and headlines when Celebration hits. So, let's climb aboard the escape pod once again and meet up Blake to chat all about Star Wars Celebration.
Another happy landing.
All right, there's that fanfare, the very classic 20th Century Fox fanfare that's prominently displayed in front of every single Star Wars movie.
Oh man, except for the sequels.
Except for the sequels, yes.
I guess the spin-offs.
It's an interesting...
That was a point of contention. A lot of people online were speculating if they're going to do something similar, so they all feel the same at the beginning, and they didn't. They just cut straight to the film.
Yeah. Something about the fanfare is it's called the fanfare. I just think of a big parade or something whenever it plays, but and it's grandiose, and that's basically what Celebration is around the corner. Fun fact about the fanfare: it was taken out of the movies for a little while when Disney had purchased Lucasfilm and the films and all that, and then when they purchased Fox, they were able to put it back. So,
oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that they actually put it back after that.
Yeah. There was a short period of time in which I feel like the movies didn't have it anymore, and it was very brief. But you're right though, the sequels never had the fanfare, and neither did Solo or Rogue One. So it's interesting because maybe going forward, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but maybe the future Star Wars films might actually have it. Who knows?
I guess they could.
They could if they wanted to. I don't know if there's a point though.
I doubt it. Yeah, it's the things like it's not actually connected to Fox, so like why would they do that?
Right. I don't know. It's just something nostalgic about it.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to them doing it because I love that tune. Even if they just stole the tune and like put something else in front of it, I don't know if they could get away with
the Disney Castle.
Actually I was picturing in my head as Disney Castle with the Fox fanfare music.
Magical. All right, everyone. Welcome to the next Star Wars movie, everyone. It's Pluto. It's episode 10.
Who's your Pluto now, baby?
All right.
I can't believe they allow Mickey to voice in front of every single Disney movie. That's crazy.
Man, it's crazy, yeah. Welcome to episode 1, everyone. Gotta get the laugh in there. So Celebration around the corner. It's a good time to be alive. It's so much Star Wars stuff to look forward to, and
I don't know. I'm pretty just disappointed because I'm not going to be there.
Well, it's funny because this is kind of, I guess, you and I doing this know before you go sort of thing. I guess it kind of gives us an opportunity to inform our listeners and people who might be going for the first time what our experience was like at Celebration 2017, which was held in Florida. It was prior to the release of The Last Jedi. And if anyone listened to our deleted scenes podcast episode, you'll know we kind of dropped that information in there. But you know, there's something very special about being down at Celebration, because we had never really been to any kind of large convention of that sort before. We'd only really been to a very small local one, which was held in our home city, and that was it, right? So we never really experienced like the grandiose of an American Celebration, you know, comic style convention, right? Like, you know, we've never been to Comic-Con or anything like that. I'll never forget the day that we were standing there looking over the balcony at just almost what seemed to be almost 1,000 people dressed in Mandalorian gear, just chanting, and, you know, for the photo op.
Cool.
It was the coolest thing. I was like, man, that is absolutely insane. And seeing all these like passionate fans, you know, really humbles you in a really significant way, because you know, I think a lot of us might be just that Star Wars guy in our social circle, right? And
this is thousands of that Star Wars guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's all thousands of Star Wars guys in that one place, and it's like, man, it's like I duplicated me, you know, 10,000 times over, and we're all hanging out in the same room. Like it's kind of nuts, you know.
Oh man, yeah. Speaking of humbling, though, what really humbled me was the first day we're trying to make our way in, and there's a lineup that's probably 10 miles long, and you're just moving one step at a time. And
in that Florida sun,
it's a Fahrenheit, yeah, but in Celsius it was like 40 degrees, and the concrete is just boiling up, and people are passing out on the sidewalks trying to get in. It was crazy. It was nuts. They were not prepared for that.
They weren't
forcing. Yeah. No, I think because what happened was they're trying to force everyone through security, but they only had like 1 or 2 scanners. So then everyone attending had to go through single file.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was crazy. It was brutal. Thousands of people.
Yeah, and I don't even know the count of how many people were there, but I feel like it really did fill up the convention center to not its maximum potential, because surprisingly I remember seeing empty hallways where there was like rooms. Once you started going further away from like the main center and stuff, there was still very quiet sections of the convention center, which was crazy.
Where you could hang out. It was people with their kids and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. People chilling along the hallway walls, kind of like in high school, you know, people sitting against their lockers. But yeah, it was crazy, man. Like I just remembered like the large scale of this thing. Like walking inside the convention center in Florida. I know this one is held in California this time, but it made me feel like I was in like the Jedi Temple or like the Senate building or something. You know, I've never seen a building so big. Just the scale of it, you know? Like floor to ceiling.
Like an arena 5 times over.
Yeah, it was nuts. So there's always that to look forward to. If anyone's never seen a building quite that size before, that's just one of those weird things. I was like, this is kind of awesome.
And I don't know about this one, but when we went, the Florida Convention Center is actually attached to a hotel, so you don't have to leave the building.
Right. Yeah. Those lucky people staying in that hotel. I mean, we were
booked up so fast.
Yeah. Those hotels are now gone, probably. Obviously. I mean, what I remember when we bought tickets to Celebration, it was gone like that. You know, like the hotel around the corner and attached to the convention center was just booked up almost instantaneously.
And for the next 10 kilometers, or I guess that would be 6 miles.
Yeah. We had to find something that was about a 15 to 17 minute cab ride away. And fortunately, we had a really fabulous taxi driver. And
what's that guy's name?
Oh man, you're. I feel like. Oh dang, man! I kind of. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But he was he was a fabulous guy.
Such a nice guy.
It's gonna come to me in like
our first tip. If you maybe don't go with a company taxi, because we ended up getting, I guess it was more like a private car, and the guy liked us so much that he just he gave us his personal number, and then he became our private driver for the entire event. It was awesome.
It was sweet. I mean, there was this huge long lineup for all the yellow cabs, and of course these days Uber and Lyft is quite popular. But we being not American citizens, we didn't have a way to necessarily quite easily text or use data or anything like that. and the Wi-Fi is quite shoddy in a building of that scale. So it was always quite, it was a bit of a challenge. Like, okay, how are we gonna get a hold of a taxi? And fortunately, they know that there's a convention happening, but there's this huge long lineup to get into one of those cabs. So we saw one black kind of Lincoln, off the side. I forget who saw it. It was we went with two friends of ours. And someone saw it and was like, "Hey, what about this one?" So we all ran over and checked with the driver, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can take you." So
he's like, "You got money?"
Yeah. So we get in this cab. It's like it's not even like a yellow cab. Like it's like a nice. It's like his own vehicle, which was it's a Lincoln, which is first of all like a luxury American branded vehicle, quite heavy, leather seats, the whole 9 yards, tinted windows. I mean, we look like boss. Going there and two, and
what I think happened was he came in and I believe Anthony Daniels got out and then we just came in the other side. He was like, "Get in."
I wish. But yeah, it was sweet.
Smells like Anthony Daniels in here.
Such a nice guy though. I mean, he gave us his business card. He told us to give him a call whenever we needed to ride to and from, and we kind of gave him our rough schedule as to when we'll be calling, and he basically said to us, "Well, I'm up all night. I don't sleep necessarily that much at home. I get 3 hours of sleep every night, and that's it."
It's crazy, hardworking guy.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. He had a young kid, and I think he was kind of the breadwinner of his family and such. And at the time, I don't think Uber and Lyft was really that big. Like it was still kind of relying on the yellow cabs sort of thing. So,
right. Yeah. It was like just before that.
Yeah. Just before the Uber hype. So we had his number and we were able to kind of just, message him. I think one of us had a phone that did have access to the state's service. Yep. Yeah, that's right. So we were able to reach him on that. But man, it was a cool experience. And by the end of the week, we got to know him really well. Really nice guy. So, find yourself a private cab driver.
Yep. The trick is just tip well on the first drive.
Yeah. So some crazy things to know about Celebration this year is they've completely, I remember when we were there, as you were mentioning before, the lineup was just so absurdly long. I feel like they were just unprepared for the amount of people that maybe they oversold tickets and expected some people wouldn't show. I don't really know how their planning works, but I think
it was all that security thing because the next 2 days were fine.
Yeah, well, it was also like so I don't know if the previous celebrations were like this, but getting into any of the panels was always really tough. And like you said at the beginning that you're kind of sad. I mean, we're all sad that we're not able to attend this year, but enjoying Celebration from home is you almost catch more stuff while you're at home because at least in the moment, unless you camp out. Yeah, unless they're private panels. The big ones though, where they release all the big information, that stuff is kind of when the convention happens, they stream it online as well. The news is just accessible for everyone. But if you're not able to get into one of the stages that's screening or live for that particular panel, then you pretty much miss the news until your phone goes off and then you hear from it afterwards, right? Whereas people sitting on their couch at home watching this thing on YouTube, they get it right away, just like everybody else, right? So there is kind of this thing where while you're at Celebration, if you're not in a panel, you're busy, walking around, shopping. You might be in a different panel, like a fan panel or something that might be happening at the same time as like a big one. They do try to stagger them all very well so that you can catch a great amount of majority of things. But what would you say about the running around that we had to do? We did a lot of walking.
We did a lot of walking. Definitely bring water, especially for outside. Yeah, because I know this year they also have overflow rooms where when we went, they didn't have that.
Yeah, that's a great thing. So they learned from 2017, and
we're the guinea pigs.
Yeah, we're the guinea pigs of like the mass scale of a celebration. Because if I'm not mistaken, the only previous celebration that happened before the one that we went to was actually before Disney bought the company. If I'm not completely off there, let me just verify that for a second. Yeah, so Celebration Orlando, it was Yeah, April 13th to the 16th in 2017. And the one prior to that was 2000 and I'm wrong. 2016, but that was in London, so that one doesn't really count because it was a bit smaller.
Doesn't count. They're British.
Doesn't count. Yeah, we got a lot of listeners in England, so I'm glad you guys got a celebration to go to. It was only held in London twice so far in its history, which was Celebration Europe in 2007 and Celebration 3 in Celebration Europe 3 2016, and it looks like Celebration Europe 2 was in Germany, and that was the first one under Disney. Yeah, that was the first one under Disney. The only one prior to 2013 was Celebration 6 held in 2012, and the one prior, Celebration 5, were both in Florida, which was the last two that George Lucas had held, and that was where they announced these episodes 1 through 6 3D re-release, which when Disney bought the company, they only ended up releasing episode 1 before the other ones ended up getting canceled as far as the 3D conversion releases goes, that is. So ours was definitely the biggest because the Europe one was quite small, and the only one prior to that in America held by Disney was the Anaheim 2015 celebration. So I don't know if maybe there was a larger following of Star Wars fans by the time 2017 rolled around or what, but it seems that they've changed the way that they do things. So
yeah, fair enough. Because I guess it was right after Force Awakens came out. So there's probably a whole bunch of people who are either new fans or fans who were reinvigorated because prior to that was just Clone Wars coming out. Yeah,
exactly. There was a lot more Star Wars stuff going on, and I feel like the first Disney Anaheim one must have been insanely big as well. But the one after, I guess, The Last Jedi with Celebration Orlando has a lot more space as far as, theme parks and stuff. Everything's just bigger over there. So maybe they were able to host. Yeah, maybe they were able to host way more people, and then they quickly realized, oh, well, we can accommodate this amount of people in this kind of space, but it just means we have to manage how we're doing things a little better, because there were tents inside the convention center. People would camp out and wait for the morning to roll around to get their wristbands, which is what you needed to get into a panel. And they've completely reinvented the system now.
Yeah, I had learning experience with that one. I'm glad they're not doing that anymore. That was awful.
Yeah, so let's take a quick look at what things will be like for people who are going to be there in person. So I'm just trying to pull up the article here. So it looks like they've got a new system called what's it called here? Virtual panel selection. So virtual panel selection is the first for the first panel of each day on the celebration stage. The Galaxy stage and the Twin Sun stage will open at Thursday, May 12th at 8 a.m. Through Thursday, May 19th. You do not need to rush in to enter on May 12th. Virtual panel selection will be open for a week for your convenience, and the time in which you enter does not impact your chances of being selected. Funko and Lego will also be utilizing an advanced virtual selection process to provide more fans the opportunity to purchase exclusive items from their booth during the dedicated shopping window. You will be able to enter and manage exclusive item requests via the same random selection process described above for panels. You can only be selected for a shopping window on the day that you have a badge for Star Wars Celebration. So that already is way different than how we had to do it, because if we wanted a Celebration exclusive of some kind, we had to wait in some 2-hour lineup. And once you get through that lineup,
you get to the front and it's sold out.
Yeah, and then there would be nothing left. So right away, that's already way more fair. It's completely eliminated the need for a lineup at all. And that applies to both the panels and the merchandise, which is huge because there's so many people who get to that front of the lineup. They wait for a while just to make sure they get the stuff. And then the next thing you know, they're selling it online for quadruple the price that they bought it for.
Yeah.
And it's like, how fair is that? I mean, it
is what it is, man.
It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, come on, guys. I mean, leave some for the rest of them.
I recall when we went, there was limited numbers, so they don't let you buy. I believe 2. Most places were 2 because people will often buy 1 for themselves and then 1 to sell.
Yeah, or they buy 1 to open and 1 to keep in the box. Which then, they later sell, or they'll keep as just a collectible that's in the box. So yeah, I feel
similar
like
because to what we
fine.
got, we bought the Luke Skywalker as limited edition.
Yeah, the Luke Skywalker Hasbro Black Series 6-inch figure on the Empire Strikes Back reflective card back. Sorry,
That's
A New
the
Hope,
one.
A New Hope 40th anniversary reflective card back. Yeah, there's
Yeah, I thought it was 40th anniversary.
People who know what that one is are like drooling as we're talking about here. Yeah, yes, we own one.
Is it that rare? I haven't looked into it.
It is.
We were at
It is pretty
Celebration.
rare. Yeah.
I felt like there were so many when we were there. They were everywhere.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. I remember when we got to the Timothy Zahn signing booth, they had already run out of the Celebration edition of the Thrawn novel. And at that point, they were only giving away the Barnes & Noble exclusive version, which was just basically the same as the regular version, except instead of a white background, there was a black background, whereas the Celebration exclusive one had blue edges on the pages and a completely different cover. So
I think I got the regular one then.
Yeah, we got the regular Barnes & Noble exclusive one. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, now at least there's like a random selection process. It's basically a lottery. So if you want to buy a particular thing, you put your name into this. I assume it's on through the website or through an app or something. And you are able to randomly be selected. And if you're one of the lucky people, then that's great. And possibly they've tried to do their best to make sure that there's enough that almost everyone gets one, which is kind of nice as well.
So maybe I missed that. Are the panels randomized as well?
Yeah, so all the big main panels are randomized. Yeah. So to get into that stuff, it's the same deal.
I guess the only downside then is if you go with friends and you don't all get in, that's awful.
Yeah, that's the only kind of downside. Maybe you have to put in how many seats you want, or something like that. I don't know exactly the process as to how it works. I would assume it's in coordination with your ticket. So everyone with a particular ticket is kind of, it's a 1-for-1 sort of deal. So yeah, that would be unfortunate if not everyone got in. But it would also be very unfortunate if you happen to be that one guy in Celebration where the odds are stacked against you and you just literally put your name in for everything and you don't get a single thing. Like that would really, really suck. And I'm sure somebody is probably going to end up with that short end of the stick based on the way the system is about to go. Unless there's some sort of system in place where they're able to tell if you haven't been able to get anything, then maybe they just fast track your name. But that would be doing this random process is still kind of still got some loopholes.
That's what I would hope they would do, is they would be able to tell who got what, and then they can reduce or increase your likelihood of getting something.
Yeah, that's how I would hope. But
I don't personally. I don't think they would put in that much effort.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Sounds completely random.
Just dice roll every time.
Yep. So
what they do is each person who applies, there's a guy in the back room, and he rolls a chance cube, and then you either get it or you don't.
Yeah. So virtual panel and exhibitor shopping selection is now live. Virtual panel and exhibitor shopping selections are now live. There's no rush to submit your selections. The time that you enter does not impact your chances of being randomly selected. But you do have to make your selections before Sunday, May 22nd at 11:59 p.m. This is all Pacific Standard Time. When selections close, you'll be notified about your selections on Monday, May 23rd by 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As a reminder, you'll be able to make selections for the first panel of each day on the Celebration stage, Galaxy stage, and the Twin Suns stage, as well as exhibitor shopping experiences from Funko and Loungefly. Head to the website to learn more about the virtual panel and exhibitor shopping selection process. That would be the Star Wars Celebration website, which there is a dedicated site for. And let's quickly mention about this Lightspeed lane reservation thing as well, because that's new as well this year, unless they implemented that at the last one, because there's been 2 celebrations since we were at the 2017 one. and both of them have been held in different states. The last one was Celebration Chicago in 2019, and this year, the 2022 Anaheim Celebration 2 is the second one now to be held in Anaheim, I guess, if it's Celebration 2, under the... Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's not the second one to be held in California, but it's the second one to be held specifically in Anaheim. So let's take a look at what Lightspeed Lane is. The Lightspeed Lane reservation system may be used to reserve a time to shop in the Celebration store or attend panels on the Galaxy and Twin Sun stages without the need to stand in line. Fans will use the Star Wars Celebration mobile app or the Celebration website to reserve a window of time that they will be allowed to use the Lightspeed Lane entrance to the store or for a panel. We encourage you to arrive at least 30 minutes prior to the panel reservation to ensure admission, and you will need to scan your badge to enter. Lightspeed Lane reservations are not available for the Celebration stage. To use the Lightspeed Lane reservation system, you must have a valid badge for Star Wars Celebration. You must activate your badge when you receive it. An activated badge is required to access the system and claim your reservations. Badge activation will open in the next week at swca22.com/activate. Lightspeed Lane reservations will open daily at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Thursday through Sunday. You may not make a reservation prior to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time each morning. So there you have it. Lightspeed Lane is a bit like
Light Pass.
Yeah, a bit like the new Lightning Lane at Disney that has replaced the old Fast Pass system, but it's the same idea. So it's kind of cool that they're once again kind of making it a little easier for people to avoid the lineups and just get in if when they're given the window of time to do that. It gives them more time to look around, more time to shop, more time to actually enjoy your time and not just stand around in the lineup.
So this is a free service, and then I assume next year it'll be a paid service?
Yeah.
Disney follows trend.
Yeah, you got the right idea there. So there was some really cool guests when we were at Celebration. I mean, not only did George Lucas show up, but John Williams was there, and so many others. Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill. Of course, recently when we had hit Celebration, only the year prior was when we all lost Carrie Fisher, and there was a lovely send off for her as well, and I think
and an exclusive poster.
An exclusive poster given out. Yep. So you can always look forward to all the very special guests going. I'm sure everyone who has a ticket right now is able to. You probably already know who's going to be there, but some of the more notable guests that will be there is Giancarlo Esposito, which plays Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. Katie Sackhoff will be there, Bo-Katan Kryze. Ian McDermott as Emperor Palpatine, and Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tico are all going to be special guests. Tamura Morrison, which is Boba Fett and Jango Fett. We'll have the voice actor for Omega from The Bad Batch, whose name is Michelle Lang. The upcoming Grand Inquisitor live-action version played by Rupert Friend in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and voice actors Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano. I know Matt Lanter will also be there as Anakin Skywalker, and it looks like Taylor Gray, who plays Ezra from Star Wars Rebels, is also going to make an appearance. And so many more. I know there's tons of authors that are going to be there doing signings and probably even reveals of certain things. And it's going to be a good time to be there in person to get your things signed. So pack some space in your luggage to bring some things to be signed. So you can whip it out if you see the person. And
definitely plan ahead, because if I had known Zahn was going to be there, I would have brought my original hardcover.
Yeah, you mentioned
the
that.
Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah,
and then they had one there, and I almost bought it just to get it signed, and then I decided to buy the new one instead, and I've regretted it. I wish I bought the original one ever since.
Yeah, speaking of the Thrawn trilogy, I mean, they're republishing all the old Legends books under a new Essential Legends Collections banner now. Which contains new artwork on the cover, on the spine, all that stuff. They're coming out with an entirely new trilogy box for the old Heir to the Empire trilogy. So anyone who has that or doesn't have it, maybe I'm sure they'll probably be selling it while you're down there. But if you have an old copy of the Thrawn trilogy, make sure you bring it to get signed. And just as a heads up, when these authors and stuff sign the books, they don't always just put their name down. They sometimes ask you who is it for or whatever. They try and get something out of you that they actually try to personalize it. And
so it's harder to sell it online.
It's harder to sell it online. Yep. So anyone listening who's planning on getting something signed to sell, just be aware if you're bringing it to get signed, you might actually be devaluing your product by getting it personalized, because that's probably what they'll do. And if you ask them not to do it, they might refuse to sign it. I wouldn't take my chances.
Yeah, fair enough. I know. I believe the Thrawn novel I got is personalized. So
mine is too. Yeah, that was the Thrawn, the newer Thrawn novel.
Yeah, it says "Bye bye Blake, good riddance."
No, it doesn't.
Could you imagine? That'd be pretty funny.
Man, if I don't know if Sam Jackson's gonna be there, but I know what I would get him to put on my Attack of the Clones disc.
This party's over.
I thought you were gonna do a badass mother and then have like a bleep sound.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Yeah. That's actually also a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. How come Hayden Christensen or Ewan aren't there? That's very surprising to me.
I actually don't really know. Maybe I missed the news on that, but I feel like Ewan McGregor is going to be there, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like he should be. It's like almost right before his show's being released. So.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I took some screenshots. Is it
released on the same weekend?
Well, they've slowly been kind of hyping up Celebration with releasing the guests as they've become available. Amy Allen is going to be there, who played Ayla Secura in the prequels. Anthony Daniels, of course, who plays C-3PO. Billy Lord, who is Carrie Fisher's daughter. Carl Weathers will be there as
I bet
Greef
Warwick
Karga.
will be there as well. Warwick Davis.
Warwick's always there.
Yeah,
Daniel,
he was the host last time over there.
Daniel Logan will be there as young Boba. And yes, Ewan McGregor will be there as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know we emphasized the fact that George's son, Jet Lucas, will be there, who plays the little Jedi who gets murdered in front of Bail Organa.
Do you think he learned to forge his dad's signature like most of us did with our parents?
I don't know. I mean,
get him to sign some stuff as George.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny.
You know, it's funny because Hayden Christensen was actually at Star Wars Celebration 2017 when we were there, and that was before Kenobi was even a thing, I feel like. But it doesn't look like he's actually on the list. So, I don't know. Maybe he's a surprise appearance or something. I have no idea.
Well, he showed up the year we were there.
He did, yeah, and it was kind of I don't think it was planned. I think it was
very spontaneous, and he was on the stage that was in front of all of the different shops, not even a private panel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you could really kind of see him up close. Sam Witwer will be there as well, voice of Darth Maul. But yeah, that being said about Hayden, I mean, there's always going to be surprise. There's always the chance that you can have surprise guests show up without them actually putting it on the website. And they also do that in part to drive kind of the online activity buzz as well, because if someone famous shows up to Celebration, everyone's going to be tweeting about it and messaging people about it and sending links to the video, which is going to be the Celebration live panel streaming on YouTube and whatever else. So, it's kind of neat how they they make it feel as if so many of these actors and such and voice actors and people like authors and everything else, artists and those, just everyone, it feels like so many people are there representing various parts of the saga, which is so cool.
Oh yeah. And something that I learned while we were there is they're kind of sneaky about some stuff. So they won't necessarily announce if someone's going to be at a specific panel. So I know there was a panel when we went just called The Women of Star Wars. And a lot of panels are sold out, and this one was not. And then later afterwards, we found out that that Rey was there.
Oh, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, Daisy Ridley was at the panel in person, and it wasn't announced anywhere. It was kind of like a surprise thing. But if you think about, this panel, it makes sense. So don't necessarily blow something off if it seems like it maybe isn't your first choice, because there could be a surprise there.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, there was definitely there was another one that we went to, which they had. Who was it? I think. Was it one of the pilots, one of the X-Wing pilots they had there?
Yeah,
and
Wedge.
Wedge, yeah, they had Wedge there.
Yeah, the Wedge actor.
It was his first and so far, I think, maybe only appearance at a celebration. And so it was a panel that we were like, well, that's what's left, kind of thing. Let's go to that one, I guess. And it actually was really good. Like it was entertaining and it wasn't boring or anything like that, but it sounded boring. Like when we looked at the titles, like, oh, that's it. And
yeah, it was smaller. It was a smaller panel, and it had a whole bunch of the original X-Wing pilots from A New Hope.
Yeah.
And they also had, it was just after the passing of the guy who did the voice of Admiral Akbar.
Right.
And I recall they allowed people to ask questions, and our friend Bryce, who's been on the show, he asked the guy who did the puppeteering of Admiral Akbar because they're all voice actors, they do like cartoons and stuff. He asked them if they would do an Admiral Akbar impression for like their late friend, and they all just got really awkward and did do it.
There's it's panels like that they don't record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you can't watch them later. So it's almost like it kind of sucks to not get into the big ones. Yes. But don't be too disappointed, because the big ones, you can always watch them later. The really interesting ones definitely, ironically, are sometimes these smaller panels that less people sign up for immediately, because, our first reaction is, we're down at Celebration. Yeah, I want to be in the panel with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau talking about all the new stuff, right? Like, of course, everyone wants to be in that panel. And now, thankfully, they've done this system where if you don't get into the main stage for that, you can at least get into one of the other big stage rooms where they're projecting the live show on a big screen, and you're in an audience as well with so many other people. So you still get that audience vibe, still better than watching at home on your couch. But because you get the audience reactions to new reveals and people coming out on stage and all that stuff. But at least they've made that a thing. Because before when we were there, I feel like they didn't have that, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it didn't. So a lot of the big panels that sold out immediately, we had to watch them online afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, which was kind of rubbish, because it's like, well, what are we doing? Like we're shopping around looking at, like, eventually the shops get old, because you see everything pretty quickly after 2 days, and then after that it's like, well, you've seen all the same stuff. It's more just like, can we get to things in time for the certain like product reveals, exclusives, all that stuff.
And I know when we went the first day we went, we got in super late because of the massive lineup, so it was kind of a write-off for all the panels that day. And the second day we showed up, I think we were there at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. and it was still, everything was already sold out.
Yeah, it was crazy, because people just stay in their tents and line up. But again, that system's now, that's an old thing. Now it's all about the lightning lane and the app and online reservations and the gamble of getting in. That now it's just, that saves so much time, and it gives everyone a fair playing field. By
the third day, you and Ben had given up and decided to go to Disney instead.
Yeah, by the last day, myself and Ben, we ended up just calling it. We were like, you know what? We're going to go to Disney World instead for the full day, because we had the passes for the week. And so we decided to do that. And you and Bryce went to the celebration. Yeah, the final day. Yeah.
Yeah, we left the hotel at 3 a.m. and we got there and we got into the Mark Hamill panel.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the Mark Hamill panel, and we got the closing ceremonies. So
yeah,
if you in the old system, there you go. You got to leave at 3 a.m. or it's too late.
Yep. Yeah, and those people who are going to Celebration who are locals, they have a really nice advantage because they're not paying for, we were paying for a hotel and stuff to stay in, and then we quickly realized, what the heck are we paying for a hotel? We can just be homeless and tent outside on the street, and we'll be right here in the morning for choosing our wristbands. It was only,
they opened the doors super early, and then there's more lineup. So we didn't see this the first few days because everything was already open.
Yeah.
When Bryce and I went, they opened the initial doors, and people get inside, and then there was another lineup that was like the size of a large gymnasium or an arena, and then you just sat there and then waited for everything to officially open.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they let
and
people in
then
the
you
building.
go into a room, you have to grab all of your wristbands, so then you line up again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like line after line after line. So I feel like all of that's just going to be gone now. It's just going to be security. You scan your badge, boom, you're in, and then everything else is taken care of through the app and through the website. So anyone going this year, so much better. Yeah. So anyone going this year, make sure that you double check, triple check your phone. Check it every day kind of thing. Just always be using that thing for updates. If you enable push notifications, I'm sure the app is probably smart enough to let you know when stuff is happening. So when we were there, I remember that, Twitter used to have a feature where you could convert a specific RSS feed from a specific Twitter account into SMS that would then send to your phone. And if you left your phone on roaming, you'd be able to get those tweets sent as text messages to your phone, which was really handy because I was able to do that with the Star Wars Celebration Twitter account. And being on an international phone from outside the US, I was able to put my phone on roaming for free. And with no access to reliable Wi-Fi or data, I was able to get those updates from the different booths when they announce things like, we're giving away this for free, first 100 people to show up, get it. It's things like that. It's things in the moment which you just need to know kind of right then and there, things that are not on the itinerary, not on the schedule. Sometimes following those social media accounts does really help. So hopefully, since that feature on Twitter was in fact removed as of 2020, I believe, which really sucks. But for those of you going down in person this year, hopefully you find a different alternative to that. Maybe the Celebration app has gotten a lot better. Maybe it's improved. Maybe the Wi-Fi at the convention center will be a lot better than the one that we were at. I have no idea, but you'll definitely want to keep tabs on your phone while you're there and those constant social media updates because you can score pretty big sometimes by just knowing where to go and the instantaneous pieces of information like surprise guest appearances on the Celebration stage and whatnot. You'll be surprised exactly what goes down if you're there in person. You don't want to miss it. So that's a great little tidbit there to keep in mind.
I have a couple tips I wrote down.
Go for it.
So the last several years, they've given away posters. Mm-hmm. And they're cardstock posters. They're not really posters that you want to fold.
Yeah, you don't want to fold those things. Yeah. Once you fold them, they're worthless.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of them were given away at panels. So you have to actually get into a panel to get one. But it's definitely worth, especially if they do it early, you're going to get into the bigger panels, definitely bring something to protect these posters. Mm-hmm. They're smaller than a proper movie poster. Like we have some. What size?
Yeah, we got some here. So
a 1.5 by 2.5 feet, roughly.
Yeah, something like that. So definitely the size, roughly the size of some carry-on cases, but not all of them. It's probably just big enough that it might not fit in your carry-on. So is your recommendation to bring something like a large folder or something that maybe they can?
Yeah, or like I personally, this would be my suggestion. I don't know if you want to bring it for a whole day at Celebration, but maybe there's a way. So bring something that would be a cheap frame you can get from like Michael's or IKEA or something just to keep it flat and it's not going to get bent. Mm-hmm. Because I recall after they handed them out at Celebration, you could see people and they were carrying them and they didn't want to bend them. And they didn't want to touch anybody. If you walked towards them, they would back away.
Touch
their poster. Yeah, and so these people, their day is written off because they got to take this poster somewhere. It's going to get damaged. So
yeah,
just be aware that is a thing. So you probably
so true.
If you're lucky enough to get one, it'd be best to have something to protect it. So I don't know if there's like if they sell frames that collapse or something. But
I see you got Chewbacca with you.
yeah, that's the new pup.
That's the new pop. Eh? So yeah, that's a great point. You know what I would recommend is almost you could fold up a poster board to make into a folder of some kind that you then it's a little easier to
That would
carry.
work.
Yeah, it doesn't damage the edges and whatnot. That way it gives you something to protect the posters a little bit.
So this might be a personal thing, opinion, but I found actually the closing ceremonies were kind of meh.
Okay.
So I guess in my head I had built it up that there's probably going to be some bigger cast there, and they were all going to like have a thank you for coming, whatever. But really, it was just who was hosting, and it was a lot of just waiting, and then eventually, in our case, it was Warwick Davis. So it was cool to see him, but he more or less just said, "Yeah, thanks for coming," and then it was over. So
What was John Williams? No, he was at the opening ceremonies. That was
That's right,
That's
opening.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely get in on that opening ceremony. I don't know if that's happening on the Thursday or the Friday, but yeah, that one definitely would be better than the closing ceremony for sure. Because there's nothing left to announce at the closing ceremony. It's just kind of like a farewell, right?
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think there's nothing else going on, so it's probably still worth going to. But if you were cutting tight for a dinner or going to catch a flight or something, just a heads up that you probably won't miss too much if you can't make it.
What's your take on advice on food? You know, some of our listeners might be going to Celebration. They might be wondering what kind of food places there is to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I think we ate at least one meal there, and it was really overpriced.
Bring a fanny pack or something. You know, keep your your pockets fill up really quick at places like this, and bring some granola bars. Bring some fruit. Like I know we
Did they
stopped
let
off.
us bring food in though? I feel like security normally doesn't let you do that.
Yeah, we were able to bring. I feel like we were able to bring some things, and they do check your bags. There was a bag check, but like kind of like a Disneyland, but you can bring stuff like that in. So there wasn't a whole lot of options. There was some overpriced food, like you mentioned, but these convention centers, at least at the one that we were at, were not exactly on the same block as a restaurant. You can't exactly just, you can't exactly.
It's far from everything.
Yeah, it's far from everything. Nothing's close by. And, we live in a place in which things are very consolidated and close by to each other. So we didn't really think of that until we were down there. I was like, wow, it's like 20 minutes drive to a restaurant. Like we're in an area in which it's just convention center and buildings, like business buildings and parking. And it was crazy, man. Like the whole thing felt as big as our city kind of thing. But it is what it is.
It's like an airport.
Yeah, it's like an airport. It's like being in an airport and being on the other side of security. It's like where do you find stuff? You might find a little snack shack somewhere if you're lucky. I don't know. I mean,
inside the building, they did have a handful of restaurants.
Yeah,
they were all fast food, and they were all
over the counter hot dog
price
style. Yeah, it's like $17 for a hot dog or something crazy. It's just a little ridiculous. I don't know if Anaheim's any different in the sense that there's restaurants close by. I didn't look that up. But just definitely keep it in mind. Food, you want to think about it. I know we stopped off at when we got our hotel, we made a quick stop in at a grocery store nearby, and we picked up some groceries, which allowed us to kind of eat and run in the morning. We picked up some apples and bananas and muffins. Muffins and stuff, just stuff from the grocery store that's really kind of quick and easy to eat or throw in a bag or something like that for the day. And that really saved us a lot of time. It saved us basically breakfast and sometimes snacks. And the only thing we really needed to worry about sometimes was lunch. And I remember half the time we didn't even eat lunch because we would just skip lunch because we were busy doing something at Celebration. And then we would have dinner later at either the Disney parks or somewhere else. I know we did go out.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Olive Garden.
Yeah, we did go to, yes. Olive Garden. So.
Free bread.
Yeah, breadsticks for life. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on the area. So just keep that in mind. You got to feed yourself, and there's a lot of walking involved. So if you have trouble with getting around on your legs, you may want to consider bringing something to alleviate the pain. Bring some blister patches, for hiking. That's probably a good suggestion. Bring some gel things for your heels. I mean, we were on our shoes all day, man. It was a long day.
And it's concrete. It's not soft floors.
That's right. Yeah, no carpets. So, no soft carpets, that is. So, definitely, think of your mobility as well. Some people will be going to Star Wars Nights after celebration ends for the day. So, Star Wars Nights is an event now that Disneyland holds post Star Wars Celebration, which is an evening in Galaxy's Edge. And Disney Nights is spelled Nites, I believe. And it's called Disneyland After Dark Star Wars Night. So check that out. It's disneyland.disney.go.com. And it's called Disneyland After Dark Star Wars Night. Prepare for the ultimate Star Wars extravaganza. At an after party hours party packed with galactic fun coming May 3rd, 4th, and May 27th. So obviously May 3rd and 4th are in the past, but May 27th is coming up. It does look like general admission tickets are sold out. But those of you who are going to that, it's from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. And that's in the Disneyland park. Mix-in begins at 6 p.m. So it looks like you can enter at 6 p.m. onwards if you have admission. And it started at $134 per person. So just keep that in mind for next year or maybe some of the years after if you do like the idea of doing that. And parking fees are not included if you have a car. There's always more information at the phone number 714-300-7807. So there's always that as well, which is kind of neat. They encourage you to dust off those lightsabers and dress up as your favorite Star Wars character. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Disney's not always... Is that Disney? Yeah, they're not always the friendliest with people dressing up.
There might be rules on top of that, so I would look into it because they might not allow any face coverings or weapons, which was the case before the pandemic. So maybe you could wear face coverings now, but... There is a costume guidelines on the page that I'm looking at. So it says check out costume guidelines below, except those that costume guidelines. They have a bunch of rights to reserve, to deny admission because of what you might be wearing, whether it be inappropriate or something that clashes with the believability. I think what they're aiming for is so that you can't look as good as the actual cast members in their costumes. So some of you guys who have insane costumes at Celebration, which look tremendously amazing and beautiful. We've seen some amazing costumes at Celebration. There's some crazy looking ones there. People in full on clone gear and this and that. I'm sad to say that you might not be able to wear that kind of thing in the Disney park. So make sure you check on that stuff before you go. That's pretty much all the stuff I can think of. Let's run through, I totally missed this. Let's run through the tickets stuff and then the panels, how people can watch online, and then we'll wrap it up here. Good call.
So tickets are sold out. Probably should have started with that.
Sorry to get your hopes up.
The Jedi Master package is sold out. That's the top of the line package. The 4-day kids pass is not sold out. The 4-day adult pass is. Day passes for adults from Friday through Sunday are sold out, but Thursday is still available. And kids passes from Thursday through Sunday are all still available as well. Kids qualify between the ages of 6 and 12. So just keep that in mind. So if you're still looking to attend Celebration, you're in the area, you didn't plan on going, you're hearing this podcast episode now, you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to go. Thursday is $75 for the day. And you can take your 7-year-old, 6-year-old kid for an additional $35. Might not be a bad thing to just try out for a day and see if you like it. So,
or if you're a fan of our podcast and you're listening and you're 12 years old, maybe you and your friends can snag some tickets and with your parents' permission, go check it out.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So additionally to that, I do want to mention something new that they're doing. I don't know if they started it last time or this time, but Celebration has teamed up with a company called Lite. Lite is spelled Lyte. It's called Lite Ticket Exchange, and they've teamed up with Lite to create a legitimate, safe, and official ticket exchange. So fans may return their sold-out ticket types to Lite, or they may make a reservation to purchase a Celebration ticket from Lite after a ticket type has sold out. In buying from Lite instead of a secondary market, Star Wars Celebration fans can help undercut scalpers, receive fairer prices, and be assured that they are purchasing a genuine Celebration ticket. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're looking for a ticket that is sold out, look for the StarWarsCelebration.com Lite ticket exchange page. It does exist on the website. And I'm also going to link in the description of this podcast episode where you can get that just to make it easier to find. But there is an official wait list and exchange for anyone who last minute can't go. They got to sell their ticket. There's a huge lineup of people that'll probably be in line to get it. So you can put your name on that list and kind of cross your fingers, and you'll know that it's not going to be scalped. You're getting a fair wage, fair price for it. And that's a system that is tremendously applauded. I feel like they got to get the audience clap for that. I feel like that really does a lot of good. Just making everything so much more accessible and easy to get. So.
Yeah, for sure. And there's nothing like scalping the scalpers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're kind of killing the system,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, right. That's a great way to, I commend them greatly for putting that together. So the last thing that we're going to run through is how you can enjoy Celebration at home, and what kind of big panels are going to be there if you're going in person. So let's start off with what's happening next week on Thursday, which is the first day of Star Wars Celebration. There's going to be a panel at 11 a.m. until 12:30 p.m., and it's called Lucasfilm's Studio Showcase. So the description reads, Star Wars Celebration returns, launching with a must-see showcase that will kick the weekend's festivities into hyperdrive. Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many Star Wars adventures coming soon, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and The Mandalorian. And this is on the Celebration stage. It'll be streamed live for probably the other stages as well, if you don't get into the main stage. And I assume if it's being streamed to the other stages, it means that it's also going to be streamed to us at home. So hit that bell notification on YouTube, and make sure you catch those live showcases at home as well. And I'm surprised that Thursday's not sold out yet, because that's a really big panel. That's all the stuff that's coming up. I feel like Ewan McGregor will be at that panel.
It could just be there's a lot of locals going and they're all working Thursday. Maybe.
I mean, I know Thursday's kind of an awkward day of the week, but if someone's got the vacation time, I mean, I'm definitely surprised that it's not sold out. But yeah, you're right. It's not part of the weekend. It's kind of the weird first day, and it's at 11 a.m. So yeah, but that is the first official day of Celebration. So make sure you tune into YouTube at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday, May 26th, and you might catch Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. Friday is definitely where a lot of the action is, so let's start off with 11 a.m. There's a panel called Light and Magic, and I have a feeling that this is a behind-the-scenes Industrial Light and Magic panel. I regrettably did not put down the description for this one. Let me see if I can find the description for this. There is another panel later at 2 p.m. called Star Wars Attack of the Clones 20th Anniversary, and that's at 2, and it goes until 3 p.m. And that same day, of course, we'll on both possibly Thursday or Friday, maybe we'll compile those 2 days into a podcast episode and chat about what we heard over the last 2 days from Celebration. So you can look forward to that as well. Saturday rolls around. There's a panel happening at 11 a.m. called Mando Plus, a conversation with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So you don't want to miss that. That goes from 11 a.m. until noon. And then at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, there's another one called Tales of the Jedi panel. And this is very interesting. Tales of the Jedi is their new animated series that they're announcing. It's an anthology animated series, which is basically like Star Wars Visions, but it's a bunch of shorts. And I don't know if they're all sequential or if they're different characters at different points in time. But that's going to be really cool because I think it's supposed to be canon, I think. And it's based on the Tales of the Jedi comic title by Dark Horse. And so that's going to be really cool to see exactly what they've got planned for that.
And with guest Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. So yeah, look forward to that on the Saturday. And if I'm not mistaken, I've got the page open now. This is the description of...
Ooh, Rancho Obi-Wan has a panel. That'd be cool. Check out Steve Sansweet and his collection.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Are you looking at the same page I am? The page with all the panels on it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's really hard to figure out what's what.
Yeah.
It's all kind of crammed together. The filters don't work. So you listeners at home don't have to deal with that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Tales of the Jedi. So introducing Tales of the Jedi animated anthology shorts hosted by Amy Ratcliffe with special guest Dave Filoni, streamed live on the Celebration stage. And I'm going to go back to the Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. There's a description for this panel as well. And it reads, "The Shroud of the Dark Side has fallen. Join us as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Attack of the Clones, the movie that not only introduced a lightsaber-wielding Yoda, a coming-of-age... cut off there. A coming-of-age Anakin Skywalker and clones. It also ushered in a new era of digital cinema, with 2 decades, which 2 decades later has become an industry standard. Special guests and behind-the-scenes content will be revealed, and in this can't-miss commemoration of the 2002 epic." I have a feeling that not only will Ewan McGregor be there, but I think Hayden Christensen will also be there as well.
I wouldn't be surprised. If there were to be a panel, this would be it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's definitely one to look forward to, for sure. Let's move to the last day here, which is the Sunday, and that is kicking things off in the morning with an 11 a.m. Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 2 panel, which goes from 11 until noon. And then at the end of the day, there's at 3:30 until 4:30 p.m. is the Celebration Anaheim closing ceremony panel as well. So that's some good stuff right there.
Bear in mind, everything we're talking about is the streaming panels like we viewed online. But if you're in person, there's significantly more.
Yeah, so those are just the big things. Those are the ones that, exactly. Those are going to be hosted on large stages, which is the most likely ones that will be streamed to us at home on YouTube. But if you're there in person, there's a significantly larger selection of panels to go to. I'm just going to quickly read the description for this Bad Batch one. So join host David Collins as he invites Star Wars: The Bad Batch executive producer and supervising director Brad Rao, executive producer and head writer Jen Corbett, story editor Matt Michnovitz, and actors D. Bradley Baker, Michelle Ang, to discuss highlights from the first season of the acclaimed series, as well as some exciting hints as to what's to come in season 2. So I'm sure we'll probably get a trailer for season 2 as well, which is pretty exciting. And
if you're wondering why there's only 2 actors there for a cast that is 5, it's because D. Bradley Baker plays 4 characters.
That's right. So yeah, but there, like you said, there's a ton more panels. Those are just the ones that people can probably look forward to on YouTube, streaming live at home. But there's so many more. There's a huge list of them. and maybe we can even run through a few of them here. Do you see anything interesting on that giant list?
Well, let's take a look here. Starting on Thursday. Oh man, it's gonna be hard to pick out stuff really fast. That's gonna be good because there's just so many. There's a lot of options. My first recommendation is just quickly look online, see if anything catches your eye. If you haven't done that yet,
there's one
already,
there's one with Ian McDermott on the celebration stage, so that might be a possible streamable one. It's called Ian McDermott, an audience with the Emperor, and he's sitting down to be interviewed by the host of the panel and providing some bone-chilling performances, some stories about his time playing Emperor Palpatine for the 3 trilogies, and reveal rare insights and behind the scenes. So that sounds pretty cool. It looks like on Thursday there's also a panel with Ashley Eckstein regarding Ahsoka Tano. So it's called Ahsoka Tano, the purest example of what a Jedi should be. Oh, sorry, that's a fan stage. That's a fan panel. That's right. There's a ton of fan panels happening. There's a lot of podcasters that are going to be down there, as well as
shout out to Mandalorian Mercs.
Yeah, they're going to be down there as well. Probably putting something on. There's a R2D2 Builders Club, of course, is going to be there. They're there every year. And they're going to be putting on a panel on Thursday as well called Meet a Droid, which happens from 1 until 1:45. There's a panel which you can learn origami, one called Mandalorian Motion and Energy. And, like you said, I mean, there's so much stuff going on. I'm going to drop a link in the description, and people can check out the list for themselves down there. And there's so much going on that if you're going in person, you've got quite a bit to choose from. So, that being said, I mean, what's the last thing? Any last things before we should wrap it up here?
Just any listeners, if you are heading out and you get there, maybe send us some pics or shoot us a text or shout us out on Twitter at Star Wars Escape Pod Podcast. And we'll mention it here on the show. Looking forward to anything we get from you guys. What's going on? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wish I could be there.
That's a great idea. Whenever you share a picture or something like that, hashtag the Star Wars celebration, hashtag in there, but then also tag us, send us the photo on there. Just throw in at SW Escape Podcast. We'd love to check out all these cool photos. That's one thing that we can't experience while we're at home is the fan experience of what it's like to be in that convention center with all those booths, all those shops, and the costumes and everything. That's something you
so
can't.
Many.
Yeah.
I recall Bryce was recording a bunch of Mandalorian mercs as they were heading out, and he was just recording them get off the escalator one at a time. He said he was there 15 minutes, and he's like, "Hey, I got to go." There's so many. They were still just coming. There's so many Mandalorians.
So cool though, right? And
they had that group photo with Ahsoka out front. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Eckstein showed up in character.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Send us your photos. Take lots of video. And, for those of you who are joining us at home watching Star Wars Celebration, we won't be doing any live reaction stuff. I'm sure, we can all enjoy it, the panels for ourselves in our own time. But we'll definitely be putting out online Star Wars Celebration at home reviews. We're gonna be feeding off all the buzz that's gonna be happening, with all the new reveals coming out, and including a new live action series that they will likely announce while Celebration's going on. That's what the buzz is all about lately. A coming of age show of some kind, which, we'll reveal more information about that in the Vanity Fair review, which came out not too long ago. And you can look forward to a podcast episode dedicated about that as well. So much stuff to stay on top of. So we'll catch you in the next one, Blake.
See you out there. Keep flying.
And for those of you guys listening in at home, share the show with a friend, go on to Celebration, look for those Celebration after shows, and of course Kenobi coming out the same week Celebration is. Good time to be alive as a Star Wars fan. May the Force be with you guys, and we'll see you next time.